Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Fickle here with another video. Today we're in Shadow Raid Legends, everybody. Today I wanted to go over something that I haven't really touched too much on in my previous videos, and that is Masteries. Some of my friends were asking me, what is all this Mastery stuff? Like, what's good, what's bad, what am I looking for in terms of a Mastery? And I don't really know a lot about them myself, but I am going to share with you guys some things that I do know about them, and that is that they're very hard to come by. um, Masteries comes from these scrolls up here that you see. They come from the Minotaur, and you have to make a certain team to run the Minotaur, and it's good to make a set of 4 monsters, and then have them are completely maxed in their masteries, and then every time you want to skill somebody up in terms of masteries, you just rotate them into that 5th slot. So I could have Aethel, Shatterbones, Roagard, and Valerie as my core team, and then I just rotate out whoever I need to get their masteries or their scrolls for masteries. But let's look at some of these masteries and see what they do. This one's called Blade Disciple. It gives you a flat 75 extra attack. This one's called Deadly Precision. It gives you a crit rate increase of 5%, which is really solid for a lot of attack style monsters. I usually use this one. I feel like the extra crit rate is better than just the flat attack. And then it goes really well in conjunction with an extra bit of crit damage. So this one, Keen Strike, gives you an extra 10% in terms of crit damage. Heart of Glory is the next one to the left, gives you an increased damage inflicted by 5% when attacking with full HP. So this is good for those speedy nuker type monsters. They get an extra 5% if they go first, right? This one, Shield Breaker, increases damage inflicted to targets under shield bust by 25%. That's really solid, actually. I use that on my Aethel because I like having her be able to break through those shields that you see on arena teams. This next one to the right of that one is called Grim Resolve. Increases damage inflicted by 5% when attacking with 50% or less. 50% HP or less, excuse me. So these are good for those second turn type monsters that maybe have vampire on them. Excuse me. They have vampire on them, so when they do their attacks, they're gonna get HP back. Having them get an extra 5% below 50% is a pretty good idea because you know they're going to get hit already. They have a higher percent chance of having less than 50% HP. Then we move down to the next tier. Single Out increases damage inflicted to targets with less than 40% HP by 8%. So this is good for those type of monsters that have like an execution style move where they do a lot of damage to one single monster. Also good for bosses. I would think. When bosses have below 40% HP, do an extra 8%. I like that. The next one to the right is called Life Drinker. Heals 5% of damage inflicted when attacking with 50% HP or less. This would be pretty good in conjunction with Grim Resolve, but it doesn't look like you can actually have both of them unless you take Shield Breaker and Grim Resolve. Well, maybe actually. I don't know. I'd have to look at this a little bit more to be 100% certain on that fact, but that would be good in conjunction with Grim Resolve, regardless of whether you can get them both or not. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Next one, Whirlwind of Death, increases speed by 6 for each enemy killed by this champion. Stacks across each round in a battle up to 18 speed. All right, that's pretty cool. Each round in a battle, so you can't take extra speed into waves and waves and waves of monsters. So each round, 18 speed extra. Cool. Increases this next one, Ruthless Ambush, increases damage inflicted by 8% for the first hit on each enemy. That's pretty good for again speedy nukers that want to get the first turn and just nuke. I like that for arena. Next tier down, Bring It On is the first one on the left. Increases damage inflicted by 6% when attacking targets with higher max HP. Again, a speedy nuker type mastery. I would use that for a speedy nuker on arena. Next one over to the right, Wrath of the Slain. Increases damage inflicted by 5% for each dead ally. Stacks up to 10%. Okay. I wonder how good that is. Maybe... I wonder if it still is there if those allies are revived. That would be good to test. But I don't really have a reviver built to be able to test that, so I'm not sure. I'm sure you could find a use for that. That's pretty big increase, 10%. The next one over to the right, Cycle of Violence, has 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn if the damage inflicted by a skill exceeds 30% of target's max HP, and it only occurs once per turn. That's pretty good. I like that sound of that. Again, nukers. Well, this is all in the offense section, so anybody who's doing damage is going to benefit from any of these mastery skills. But yeah, this one is this is really good because this could be like a built-in. What's that set called? There's a set. There's a gear set, an artifact set that does this. If you're crit on or something like that. I kind of like the sound of that. That would be interesting to play with sometime. The next one over to the right, Opportunist, increases damage inflicted to targets with stun, sleep, or freeze debuffs by 12%. Well, that's pretty cool. I could see this working really well with a freeze or stun set, or somebody that sleeps. For instance, Diabolus sleeps. Actually, Diabolus does not sleep. My Diabolus never sleeps, especially when you need her to sleep. When you're like, this apothecary is about to go. If I could just sleep him so that he doesn't heal everybody, then that'd be great. But no, Diabolus will never, ever sleep when it's needed. Rant over, I'm sorry. But anyway, Opportunist, I can see that working really well with some stun freeze teams. I mean, that makes sense, 12% extra. I mean, what else is there to say about that? It is what it is. The next tier down on the far left, Methodical, increases the damage inflicted by this champion's default skill by 2% each time it is used during battle. Stacks across each round in a battle up to 10%. Oh, this is really good for people like Aethel that have where they're using their first skill a lot. Aethel has a third skill that gives her an extra turn, so it's almost like having a passive. But other champions that have passives where they're using their skill 1 and skill 2, they're not using a third skill because it's a passive or something like that. That would be really, really handy, because they're just going to get that passive attack increase. That's kind of nice. One over to the right, Kill Streak, increases damage inflicted by 6% in the arena and 3% in all other locations for each enemy killed by this champion in battle. Stacks across each round in a battle up to 12%. Increases damage inflicted by 6% in the arena and 3% in all locations for each enemy killed. Okay, that's kind of cool. Another speedy nuker, or a nuker in general, but you want them to be able to get this and do it again. I mean, use it, you know. I mean, if they just nuke and everything's dead, they don't really take any, they don't get any benefit from this. Maybe it wouldn't be good for a speedy nuker. Maybe it would be better for somebody like a stall type monster, where they're just, like Reinhardt, for instance. Reinhardt would be pretty good with this. And it does better in arena, so arena monsters would benefit from that. The next one over to the right is Blood Shield. Places a shield buff on this champion for 1 turn when this champion kills an enemy. The value of the shield is equal to 15% of this champion's max HP. It occurs once per turn. That's kind of interesting. That would also be good for a Reinhardt or somebody like that, where their whole goal is to kill slowly and have a lot of HP and just be a tank. I like that. That's interesting. Alright, last one on this row. Stoked to Fury. Increases damage inflicted by 4% for each debuff on this champion. Stacks up to 12%. This is good for that ogre. The ogre, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank at the moment. This guy. A cult brawler, because of this skill. I talked about this guy in my other video, but he does cool things based upon how many debuffs he has. You know, I'm not really excited about this champion or this mastery skill. It doesn't, I mean, it's kind of an incentive to get yourself debuffed. It doesn't really make much sense. Maybe I'm missing something there, but I'm not really totally enamored by it. Alright, War Master. This one is super OP. Has a 60% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 10% of the target's maximum HP, or 4% of the target's bonus damage is equal to 10% of the target champion's max HP, or 4% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. Oh, I did read that right. So, and then bonus damage can also occur once per skill and does not count as an extra hit. So cool. This is just a huge damage increase for bosses or really tanky or HP tank champions. I like this for a lot of champions. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Anyway, champions that are good with clan or good at clan boss are really going to benefit from this. Like Royal Guard. Royal Guard does, with his second skill, does damage according to the boss's max HP or whoever's max HP, the target's max HP. So he would benefit from this a lot. People that wouldn't benefit from this a lot are people that do damage by damage over time skills, dots like poison and HP burn. They're not really going to benefit from this too much. The next one to the right is called Helm Smasher. Yeah. It's a 50% chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense. For skills that ignore defense, this 25% is in addition to that amount ignored by the skill. This is good for arena. Straight up, just ignore target's defense. It's 50% chance, so you're not always going to do it, but I really like that for arena. Especially for super tanky defense monsters that don't have a lot of HP. That's the skill you want to use. Giant Slayer has a 30% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 7.5% of the target's max HP, or 3% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. Bonus damage can occur on each hit of a skill, but does not count as an extra hit. So, the difference between Giant Slayer and War Master is War Master is good for things that hit once, big hits one time, and Giant Slayer is good for things that hit multiple times. So this is why champions like Oathbound and Royal Guard is also good with this because he has his third skill that hits multiple times. I think 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. But that's why these champions are good. It's because of this mastery skill. Or that's not the only reason why they're good, but this is also another reason why they're good. Oathbound has an attack break, and Royal Guard has that second skill that does a huge nuke with his second skill. And then Flawless Execution increases critical damage by 20%. It kind of leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, between this and Giant Slayer or War Master, I would rather one of the other two. Between this and Helm Smasher, it kind of depends. If I'm using crit damage, if I'm using Flawless Execution against somebody that doesn't have a lot of defense or HP, that's kind of a nice skill because it almost guarantees me that I'm gonna kill them. Whereas Helm Smasher doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna kill the person, especially if they don't have a lot of defense to begin with. It's not really adding much. I don't know. It could be good for some. This guy, I'm blanking on his name. Bushy? Anyway, he always crits with this attack. So an extra 20% crit damage could be really good for him. That might be what you want to go with him. Seeing as, well, he'd be pretty good for clan boss. Yeah. He revives with his skill and becomes unkillable. And this has attacks one enemy and stacks up to 4 times, or damage inflicted decreases each time the skill is used, and it stacks up to 4 times. So I mean, you can use War Master. I bet you that would be more valuable to you. But you could use that Flawless Execution. It doesn't seem like a terrible. I mean, out of the 4, I think it's the worst, but it is the last mastery. It's supposed to be pretty OP, right? Anyway, moving on to defense. So the first one here, Tough Skin, flat defense plus 75. Um, okay. Defiant resistance plus 10. So if you were going to use somebody that you really don't want to get debuffed or defense broken, this would be pretty useful. Blast proof. It decreases damage received from AoE attacks by 5%. Okay, I can see that. There's not much to say about that. I would use this for champions that... Who would I use this for? I guess just anybody who's defense tanky. Like, it doesn't really lend itself to a specific champion. Just people that you don't want to take a lot of damage, or you want to be fairly tanky. Rejuvenation increases the amount of healing and the value of shields buffs this champion receives by 5%. Okay, so this is also good for people that like Reinhardt. Have I been saying Reinhardt again? Rein Beast. If I say Reinhardt, I meant Rein Beast. For people like Rein Beast that have a self heal, like a continuous heal, or champions. Basically, tanky champions. You want to use this with tanky champions. I mean, this is defense. This is defense a lot. I'm going to be saying that a lot, I'm sure. The next one over, Mighty Endurance. Decreases the damage received by 10% if this champion has stun, sleep, or freeze debuffs. Okay. Fair enough. Improved Parry. Decreases the damage received by this champion by 8% when this champion is hit with a critical hit. Okay, I wish I had a champion that I could use an example that would be a good use of this mastery, or any of these masteries. I'm just having trouble figuring out who would be good with these. Heals this champion by 6% of their max HP each time an enemy is healed. Occurs once per turn. This would be good against a team that has a Doom Priest that just heals every time they get a turn, because you're guaranteed to be receiving a buff from this mastery. I feel like a lot of the mastery skills in this tree, in this defense tree, are reactionary as opposed to, they're not very aggressive. I mean, it's a defense skill, so that makes sense. Resurgent has a 50% chance to remove one random debuff from this champion when they lose 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. Okay, this is cool. This is cool. You don't want to use this on people who run with a team that has a cleanser, or is the cleanser. It wouldn't be as valuable at that point. But I like this. That's really interesting. Bloodthirst heals this champion by 10% of their max HP when they kill an enemy target. Cooldown 1 turn. Oh, cool. This is really good for Oathbound or Veteran. People that do damage based on their defense. Because, I mean, you could go offense and defense. Or you could go defense and support. But going offense and defense for a champion like that, I like that. Because they are based on defense. I mean, this doesn't necessarily increase your base defense, but... this does. And it's in this skill. It's in this skill tree, so I don't know. Wisdom of Battle has 30% chance of placing a block debuffs buff on this champion for 1 turn when stun, sleep, or freeze debuffs expire on this champion. Oh, that's kind of cool. This would be good for people that run with that you would run in an Ice Golem team, because they're going to get frozen a lot. Or hopefully they don't, but I mean they have a pretty good chance of getting frozen. Block debuffs. Okay, that's pretty cool. Alright, next tier down. Solidarity increases ally resistance by 5 for each buff placed on them by this champion. Okay, so this would be good for people like Spirit Host who use a lot of buffs, or people like Rein Beast who buff. People like Executioner, or no, Executioner is self buffs. Valerie. These type of champions that use a lot of buffs, a lot of AoE buffs. I like that. Actually, this wouldn't be good for Spear Host because she places a buff. She places a block debuffs buff. So this is kind of useless. Anyway. Delay Death reduces the damage this champion receives from a specific enemy by 0.75% with each hit taken from that enemy. Damage reduction stacks up to 6% for each enemy. Okay. So again, another Rhine Beast skill. I would use this on him. Takes up to 6% less damage from each enemy. Cool. Monsters that are going to stick around a lot and take a lot of damage from a lot of different enemies. That's where you want to use that. Harvest Despair has a 6% chance of placing a leech debuff for 1 turn when placing stun, sleep, or freezos. This is so cool. I didn't know this existed. Okay, so anybody that you want to run a freeze a freeze artifact set on would really benefit from this. Say you put Bellower with freeze set with this mastery skill. Pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe that's less cool than I think, but I don't know. That'd be an interesting build for him. Stubbornness increases resistance by 10 for each debuff on this champion. Stacks up to 30. It seems like you would want the resistance before the debuff landed. I don't know. I don't really like that too much. Selfless Defender decreases the damage an ally receives from the first enemy hit in each round by 20%. This champion will receive that damage instead. Okay, so like absorb damage from squishier units onto a more tanky unit. I like that. Use that for your tank. Frask is a good one. There are others. You could probably fill in the blanks there. Cycle of Revenge has a 50% chance of increasing the turn meter by 15% when an ally is attacked with a critical hit. Will only increase the turn meter once if an ally receives multiple critical hits from a single champion, or from a single skill, excuse me. Increase the turn meter when an ally is attacked with a critical hit. Okay. So you would use this for healers, people that you want to go often. Having them get their turn meter increased by 15% every time an ally is hit with a critical hit. That's really cool. I like that a lot. I would use that for Apothecary any day if I had an Apothecary. Retribution has a 50% chance to counterattack when this champion loses 25% of their max HP or more from a single enemy skill. That's pretty cool. Another Rain Beast. I probably mispronounced that guy's name so many times, and I keep using it as an example. But yeah, every time they lose 25% of their max HP, there's a 50% chance to counterattack. I could see that being useful. Has a 20% chance to counterattack an enemy when they apply a stun, sleep, or freeze debuff on an ally. Okay, I like that for Ice Golem because he freezes so often, obviously. I like that a lot. That's cool. That's more useful than this, I feel like, because you don't have to risk. I mean, if you're in a situation where somebody can hit a quarter of your HP, you're in a bad situation, and you need to fix that soon, and preferably before they do a quarter of your HP and damage, right? So, I don't know, I like this a lot better. Okay, now we're into the last four for defense. Iron Skin, defense plus 200. Okay, let's see how this compares with the other three. Bulwark, decreases the damage all allies receive by 5%. This champion will receive that damage instead. This would be fantastic with, where is it? This one. No, this one. Selfless Defender and Bulwark would be really good in tandem. You just have to make sure that champion is tanky as all heck. Fearsome Presence increases the chances of placing a stun, sleep, freeze, or provoke debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. Okay, this is really cool for that provoke, because if you're if you're running a champion with this mastery, he's probably a defense-based monster or a support that uses a lot of defense or needs a lot of defense. And that provoke is going to be very interesting because you want them to be the tank. If people aren't hitting the tank is useless, right? The tank needs to keep aggro. So this is going to help them keep aggro. I like this a lot. Unshakable, resist plus 50. Okay, don't use these two, use these two. Preferably Bulwark, I think. That's probably a little bit better than Fearsome Presence, but if you get to the end of this and you can't reach Bulwark and you can only reach Fearsome Presence, then take Fearsome Presence. But then you have to make sure that they haven't provoke sleep, stun, or freeze on them to make any use of it. Yeah, I think Bulwark is the best out of those four, and Fearsome Presence is a close second, or maybe not necessarily a close second, but a second. And then Iron Skin is definitely third, and then this is definitely fourth. Unless my opinion changes, which it totally could in the near future. This could be complete and utter garbage in the next 3 weeks when I actually learn this game for real. Alright, I'm going to try and get this done quick because we're running on 26 minutes. Support. Steadfast. Max HP plus 8, 10. Cool, I like that. Pinpoint accuracy. Accuracy plus 10. Don't put this on people that don't do any debuffs because it will be useless. First skill on the second tier. Lay on Hands increases the value of heals this champion casts by 5%. Very good for healers, obviously. Apothecary, what's her face? Valerie, Painkeeper, those type of monsters. Shield Bearer increases the value of shield buffs. The value of shield buffs this champion casts by 5%. So Valerie, Hope, champions that put shields. This is a good mastery for them. Exalt in Death heals this champion by 10% of their max HP the first time an enemy is killed in each round. So this is really good for speedy nukers, people that need to be healed. Actually, I take that back. Speedy nukers shouldn't be taking any damage, but squishing your monsters would kind of like this a little bit more than well, squishing. This is nice. I like this. Use this. Charged Focus increases accuracy by 20 when this champion has no skills on cooldown. So this is good for people that are going to be taking the first turn and debuffing the enemies, like Diabolist or Shatterbones, where they decrease the enemy's turn meter. They're going to need accuracy, and if they have no skills on cooldown, they get this. I mean, you got to make sure that they have no skills on cooldown, obviously. But anyway, next tier down, Healing Savior increases the amount of healing and the value of shield buffs placed by this champion by 10% if the target ally has 40% HP or less. So Valerie does really good with this because she heals with her shield. She does a heal and a shield at the same time. So she's going to be waiting for people to have less HP than full, obviously, to use her shield because she has a heal. You got to make use of the heal, or you would rather make use of the heal than just waste it. So I like this. I like this for Valerie. I would use that for her. Rapid Response has 30% chance of increasing the turn meter by 10% when a buff cast by this champion is removed or expires. Healers, buffers. This is good for healers and buffers. I mean, it's in the support category, so obviously, but really good for like Valerie or Spirit Host, where they have things that only last one turn, you know. I like this a lot. Even Shatterbones, if he buffs with his skill 1, it's going to expire the next turn. He's going to get 40%, well, 30 to 40% turn meter increase if he uses this. That's kind of cool. Swarm Smiter. Increase accuracy by 4 for each enemy alive. Stacks up to 16. If you really need accuracy, take that, but there are other things. There are better things. Has a 30% chance of increasing the turn meter by 10% when a debuff cast by this champion is removed or expires. Cool. So this is good for like Diabolist, who is going to be debuffing the enemies, and then that's going to be coming off soon. She's gonna like that extra little bit of turn meter increase. Anybody who puts a debuff that lasts 1 turn is going to like this more than people that put debuffs that last more than 1 turn. Obviously, because those debuffs come off very soon. Yeah, I like that. There are probably better things, but if you get stuck with something over here and you don't want to take this for whatever reason, or they don't have any buffs to cast, but they do have debuffs, this is kind of nice. Alright, Merciful Aid increases the amount of healing and the value of shield buffs placed by this champion by 50% of the target ally has a stun, sleep, or freeze debuff. Cool, I like this for people that go through Ice Golem for the freeze. I like that. Has a 5% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn at the start of every turn. Whoa, that's... Okay, take this over everything. Take this skill. This is awesome. This is really, really, really cool. I want this. This is awesome. How is anything better than this on this? Increases set bonus of basic artifact sets by 15%. It's multiplicative, so it's not... Okay, so 15% of 15%, not 15% and 15%. So it's not 30%, it's 15% of 15%. You feel me? So it's not... I'm glad they put this here because that's a very good point to make. Evil Eye decreases the target's turn meter when this champion hits them with the default skill for the first time. Decreases the turn meter by 20% with single target skills and by 5% with AoE skills. Occurs once per turn. Well, that's kind of cool. I don't know really where you'd use that, but you would want this anyway. Lasting Gifts has 30% chance to extend the duration of any buff cast by this champion. It will not extend block damage, unkillable, or revive death buffs. 30% chance to extend the duration of any buff cast. Cool, so this is good for champions that cast, buffs that are 1 turn, because then it would take that to a 2 turn, and that is one of the big gripes I have with a lot of these champions that only do a 1 turn buff, is that it's just 1 turn. You know, you want that extra turn. Yeah, I like that. Spirit Host. She has that block debuffs buff. If that was 2 turns, that'd be really nice, because if she goes first, which you want her fast, so she might be going first on your team, she gets a block debuffs buff on everybody, and then everybody goes and gets rid of it, so this would be nice to have on her. Spirit Haste increases speed by 8 for each dead ally, stacks up to 24. At that point, you've kind of... Gorgorab, that'd be good for him. Revivers. Increases the chances of placing any debuff from skills or artifacts by 5%. Increases the chance of placing any debuff. Okay, this will not increase stun, sleep, freeze, or provoke. Huh. Huh. Okay, so just... I wonder if it's adding to the activation rate, or just adding 5% to your accuracy. I wonder how that would work. Master Hexer has a 30% chance to extend the duration of any debuff cast by this champion by 1 turn. I'm glad it doesn't extend bombs, because that would be a pain. You don't want them to be extended, you want them to tick down quickly. Alright, so things that give a 1 turn debuff, that would be good for them. Elixir of Life, max HP plus 3000. HP tanks, defense tanks, tanks in general, timely intervention, or speedy nukers that have like no HP, just a flat 3000 HP boost. That'd be nice for them. Timely intervention increases the champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally hero drops below 25% HP. This would be good for healers, because they get, that turn meter boost. I like that. Oppressor increases the turn meter fill rate by 2.5% for each active debuff cast by this champion. Stacks up to 10%. Is this just the speed boost? The fill rate, isn't that just the speed? Oppressor increases the speed of champions for however 2.5% factors into that for each active debuff cast by this champion. Okay, interesting. Eagle Eye, actually plus 50%. I don't know, I think there are better things like this. This is cool, especially if they're a healer. Cool. Alright, so that is Masteries. Again, you get Masteries from Minotaur. It's a grind. If you're new, don't worry about this. If this is something, if you're somebody that hasn't started this yet, but you know you've pulled a bunch of epics, you've got some 6 stars, you're grinding dragons and ice golem, and you just don't know what that little extra thing that you're missing, and you haven't done Minotaur, maybe you should work on a Minotaur team. That's something that I'm going to be working on soon after I get this tournament done. I really want to get these void shards. Right here. Yeah. But yeah, this is what I'm currently working on. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this wasn't too long a video, 36 minutes. So if you watched the end of this video, thank you so much. You mean the world to me. I hope you guys have a good one. Good luck with your tournaments, and good luck with your summoning rates. I hope you guys pull something really cool soon. I would do these 14 shards, but I'm actually gonna save them. I'm saving them. So if you're looking at these hoping that I pop them, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pop them. Let's see what's in this real quick. I don't think so. Okay. Bye now.